Ever feel like you're drowning in information? News, social media, articles piling up, like everyone's competing for your attention.
It's a real battle for our mental real estate.
Totally. And that's what we're diving into this week. We're exploring The Nightcrawler, a newsletter by tech investor Eric Markowitz.
He's always got his finger on the pulse, tech, innovation, those long-term trends that really matter.
Exactly. And this week's edition is packed. We're talking about the power of storytelling, how sleep actually boosts creativity, and AI agents. They're going to be big. But first up, the newsletter dives right into this idea of the attention economy.
Yeah.
You know how valuable our attention has become.
Oh, absolutely. Every notification, every ad, every bit of content vying for a sliver of our focus.
It's wild. The newsletter even mentions this study saying, if you're reading this right now, research says I've got about 8 seconds to capture your attention. 8 seconds.
That's barely enough time to, send a text message.
I know, right? It's like our attention spans are shrinking by the minute. But here's the thing. Amidst all this noise, one thing still cuts through: storytelling.
And not just children's stories before bed. We're talking about the strategic use of narrative, especially in a business context.
The newsletter highlights this piece by Jack Rains, and he makes a great point. He says, if you want to explain history, lead with stories, not statistics.
Because stories stick with us, right?
Yeah.
They resonate on an emotional level in a way that dry facts and figures often don't.
It's true. Think about a brand whose story really resonated with you. What was it about their story that grabbed you?
It's fascinating, actually. There's a neurological reason why stories are so powerful. When we hear a story, our brains light up like fireworks.
Really?
Yeah. Multiple areas of the brain are activated, not just the parts that process language. It's like our brains can barely tell the difference between a story we're hearing and an experience we're actually living.
So it's like we're hardwired to connect with stories.
Precisely. And for businesses, this is huge. If
Yeah.
you can tap into that power of storytelling, build those deeper connections with your audience, it can make all the difference.
It's almost like in this world of information overload, it's not just about finding the right information, but creating the right environment for our brains to really absorb it.
It's true. And that's what I found so interesting about this next section in the newsletter. It's about these, unexpected ways to boost creativity.
You mean the part about sleep? I gotta be honest, at first I was like, wait, are you suggesting I just need to sleep more to have better ideas?
It does sound a little counterintuitive, but the science behind it is pretty cool. The newsletter talks about this neuroscientist, Anne-Laure Lecomte, and she explains how important sleep is for memory consolidation.
So like hitting the save button on everything we've learned during the day.
Yeah, but it's more than just that. During deep sleep, our brains don't just store information, they start connecting it, reorganizing it in new ways.
So while our bodies are resting, our brains are making these connections, leading to those aha moments. Like our subconscious is some kind of idea factory working overtime.
Exactly. And this process, it's directly linked to being more creative and becoming a better problem solver. Ever find yourself stuck on a problem only to wake up the next day with a fresh perspective?
All the time.
That's your sleep-boosted brain doing its thing.
Amazing. So just by making sure we get enough sleep, we're not just helping our bodies, we're actually unlocking this creative potential.
Absolutely. And the newsletter goes even further, suggesting ways to actually enhance this process. Things like, taking a few minutes before bed to think about a challenge or jot down some ideas.
Giving your brain something to work with while you sleep.
Exactly. It's like planting seeds of inspiration that can grow overnight.
I love that analogy. Okay, so switching gears a bit here. AI agents, have you heard about these?
Oh, yeah. This is where things get really interesting. We're not just talking about chatbots anymore, but AI that can actually act independently, in the digital world, even interacting with the physical world through devices.
It's like, are we talking about robots doing our taxes now or something?
Well, not quite taxes, maybe, but the newsletter had this great line. They said AI agents are kind of like unreliable teenagers with the keys to the family car.
Okay, so a lot of potential, but maybe a little risky too. I see what you're saying.
Exactly. They could do a lot of good, right? But there's also that element of like, ooh, are we sure we thought this through?
Makes you think. So what's driving this whole AI agent thing anyway? Is it just like processing power or?
Yeah. Well, that's a big part of it. The cost of developing AI, it's been dropping dramatically. The newsletter actually shows this chart, and it's kind of amazing. Like reaching GPT-4 level intelligence is way cheaper than it used to be.
So it's becoming more accessible.
Exactly. And as it does, we're going to see a ton of new AI applications, AI agents being one of them.
And with that, A whole bunch of new questions, I imagine.
Definitely. It's uncharted territory, right? Like, what happens when AI agents are negotiating business deals, managing projects, even making hiring decisions?
I mean, it's exciting, but also kind of scary at the same time.
Totally. And, it brings us back to what we were talking about earlier about attention. As these AI agents become more common, they're going to be fighting for our attention too.
Oh, right. Like, instead of just getting recommendations from Spotify or Amazon, it'll be AI agents acting on behalf of all kinds of companies.
Exactly. The attention economy is about to get even more intense.
Wow. So how do we navigate that?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Being mindful of where we're putting our attention, that's going to be crucial. Strengthening our own ability to focus, to think critically, to figure out what's really important, those are going to be essential skills.
It's a lot to consider. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Nightcrawler this week, we're left with this sense of, like, incredible possibility, but also some big, even kind of daunting questions.
For sure. We've covered a lot today: the power of storytelling, the importance of sleep, and of course, these AI agents that are poised to, maybe change everything.
But the thing that ties it all together, I think, is this idea that we're not just along for the ride. Like, we have the power to shape how we interact with technology, how we develop our own minds, where we choose to focus our attention.
It's a good reminder
Yeah.
because it's easy to feel overwhelmed by all this change, right?
Yeah,
But ultimately, we have more agency than we often realize.
absolutely. That's something to keep in mind as we, keep navigating this crazy, ever-changing digital world.
This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for listening.